There are more issues at the Woodbury County Law Enforcement Center.
That's right. As we've reported, the initial $50 million cost estimate ballooned to $70 million throughout construction. KTV's Taylor Deckard attended the latest LEC Authority meeting where the newest issues were brought up. So Taylor, what did you find out today?
Jessica, there were issues shared during the building services facility report at today's meeting. Hausman Construction had to come out and repaint red strips along curbs on the back side of the building. There are also issues with hot water shower valves in the detention center. Kenny Schmidt, the director of building services for Woodbury County, said there were defective parts on 20 of the units. Last week, the LEC experienced issues with the intercom system on half of the second floor of the detention center. Schmidt also noted issues with the fire panel, which controls the fire alarms in the building. Another new issue is the LEC's parking lot. Shane Albright with the project management group Baker Group said there is heaped concrete in the parking lot. Workers will remove it to address the sub-base and add a drain. It's heaved as much as 1.5 inches, which has caused a tripping hazard. They haven't dug into it yet.
And they'll have testing on that. They said something about it might be part of the soil. It wasn't properly prepared for the heavy weight of the cement.
The LEC is the subject of a lawsuit filed by Hausman Construction in July of 2025. A trial date is now set for May 2027, but because of ongoing mediation between the parties involved, we didn't get any answers to our questions on the lawsuit. Dan Moore, the chair of the LEC Authority, said mediation isn't over and is still pending, but he couldn't make any specific comments.
And it is a very confidential procedure, so I'm glad the public respects that, and I know you all have over the months, but yeah, but it's pending.
And you might remember the original target date for completion of the LEC was March 2023. That completion date was delayed 6 times. Even now, the building has not met the requirement to be deemed substantially complete. Matt, Jessica?
KTIV's Taylor Deckard for us in studio tonight. Taylor, thank you. Today, the LEC Authority Board welcomed a new face, Tony Wingert. It was his first LEC Authority Board meeting. The Woodbury County Board of Supervisors named Wingert to the at-large citizen seat on the Authority Board in December. Wingert most recently worked as the Chief Deputy of the Woodbury County Sheriff's Office. He retired from that job in January.
So no, we welcome Tony Wingert. He'll do a good job for us, and his heart's in the right place, and he wants to do the right thing.
John Hines, a litigation attorney with Query Hoff Law Firm, attended today's LEC Authority meeting on behalf of the Lake Forest mobile home community. Now, Lake Forest sits across the street from the new LEC building. Hines encouraged the authority to continue the conversation about the transportation solution for people who are leaving the LEC. You know, right now there's no public transportation option for people trying to get to and from the LEC. The biggest concern is the safety of those released from the county jail and their neighbors. This comes after a man who was released from jail broke into a mobile home at Lake Forest in January 2025. The authority made no comment after Hines' request.